I'm not really interested in debating the words that I use because I'm not interested in that conversation. That I've got you, you stupid fuck. Now we're talking about it, and you fucking got, you got bamboozled by the F word. You got bamboozled by the fact that I said, we should kill politicians. I got you. But now you got to talk to me about affordability, you stupid idiot.
Right.
And like now, and that's what I'm looking to do.
Hello there, everyone. My name is Kalden Dhatsenpa. I'm the host of Local 514, and today we continue our coverage of the Montreal municipal elections. In previous episodes, I've interviewed Jean-François Cacou, who is running for the mayoral position with Futur Montréal. I spoke to Logan Littlefield, who is running for Projet out in Verdun to be borough councillor. And today, I'm speaking to one of the big stars of this current municipal election, the most tattooed person to ever run for politics I know of, Sergio Da Silva. Sergio is running for city councillor out in Saint-Jacques, which is the Ville-Marie district. That's the district that encompasses Chinatown, the Quartier des Spectacles, and the village as well as parts of the Old Port. Yeah. Well, Sergio, thank you for taking time of your campaign to come on to Local 514.
Thank you for having me. This is always a lot of fun.
Of course. So, people who have been following the show know that Sergio has been on before to discuss nightlife policy, and I believe that is sort of why you have joined the Transition Montreal team. But first, tell me, how is the campaign going?
It's a lot different than I thought it was going to be. The debates are kind of fun, but kind of a bit nerve-wracking. The most pleasant aspect of it, I think, is meeting the people who are doing legitimately the work every day. So like meeting all these grassroots organizations, all these initiatives, all these people who are, getting paid dog shit to do the most important jobs in the city. And that has been the most inspiring. So I really appreciated that opportunity and the people taking the time to speak to me.
Wonderful. I guess what were you expecting when you got into this?
I mean, I was expecting to just sort of be almost like a little mascot guy. Like it's the nightlife guy. He's got tattoos on his head. He says fucking outlandish shit. So like, just put him out there and we'll give a little more visibility to the campaign. But the more I run, the more I do it, the more I speak to people who are in need of some just like absolute systemic change to the way things are running, the more I see that my way of thinking is not unique. And there are a lot of people who are waiting and anxious for someone to just say the things that are being said during this election.
When you say your way of thinking is not unique, you mean sort of this attitude towards wanting systemic change?
Yes. The idea of, in Ville-Marie especially, the vast majority of people are renters. But, the people, one of the guys who is running for one of the parties is a real estate agent. Like for me, that's a direct conflict of interest. If you're going to be somebody who is responsible for our zoning policy, you can't also be benefiting from those changes being made.
Right.
And it's also like, in Ville-Marie especially, there are a number of abandoned buildings and vacant storefronts, which increases the sort of feeling of unease and lack of safety in the area. If there's not people living there, there's not people going there, it feels like there's something wrong. And so a lot of people are have been voicing these same opinions. Like, I'm not crazy when I think it's bad that somebody left a 100-room hotel on Sherbrooke and Sanguinet and fucked off to Miami and let it become derelict.
Right.
Everybody in the neighborhood's like, what are we doing this? We're talking about not being able to find funds to be able to put in emergency shelters or transitionary homes. And like, we have the infrastructure that exists already, and we're allowing the owners of these spaces to be completely derelict of their civic responsibility and civic duty, and to just let them rot. Fucking take them. What are we doing? Everybody can see that new ways of thinking and new ideas are the only thing that is going to be able to get us through, in the very short term, a lot of these issues that everybody is talking about during this election cycle.
Right, right. It's interesting, this idea of, I guess, like civic responsibility spread out, right? You have this one kind of like concern, right, that there's not enough housing stock, or there's these things that like, oh, there's always a constant need for things like, I guess, property for social concerns and social needs. Meanwhile, here you highlight something that's like, no, you have this kind of building that's ready in there, but the owner fucked off to Miami, you know, and it's like, I really like this idea of actually like engaging these people and really like highlighting the responsibility they have as, I guess, like whatever, like property owners, as people who have the kind of resources that could help the city through these kinds of issues. Did I hear you right? Are you in favor of expropriating these kinds of things? Or?
I'm absolutely in favor of expropriating these things. I'm absolutely in favor of huge fines and huge tax levies on these people who do not rent out their spaces. If you look at Saint Denis specifically, there are within 300 meters of, between Sherbrooke and René Lévesque. I shouldn't tap on the table. I was told don't tap on the table.
It's okay. Now we know. Now we know.
But within 500 meters of each other, there are 3 McDonald's. And like every day you see that these landlords and these property owners are holding on to this commercial property, and they're waiting for the big fish to come in. That's why we have 3 McDonald's within 500 meters of each other. That's why everything that's moved in on my street in the past, since I've been there in the past 6 years, have been these large American chain restaurants. Right. And then you continue to allow people to function in that way. You continue to make it more advantageous for these property owners to have vacant buildings and wait on them and wait on them and wait on them until the big fish comes around, then investing in the people of the city, then investing in a young entrepreneur, then you end up with this kind of like urban blight where you have nothing, again, but vacant buildings, abandoned buildings, and people are not using them, which again, I hate to fucking beat a dead horse here, but it adds to that feeling of unease. It adds that feeling of a lack of safety in our central hub in Ville-Marie.
Right. We're talking about Saint Denis. We're talking about, clearly, we bring up Saint Denis because Turbo House is
it's also my district.
It is your district. Turbo House is right there in the middle of it.
That's it. I live there.
You live there, right? Yeah, in the floor above. I'm kind of curious as to, so this is Turbo House, and I think if people are familiar with the venue, they'll see a little kind of like a 3 crossed out. So this is the 3rd iteration of Turbo House.
This is the 3rd, yeah.
I'm kind of curious. So the first one was on Saint Antoine, just south of the Bell Center.
Yeah.
The second one, which I've been to, had lots of fun there, was out in Saint Henry. Sort of. What corner is that? That was like
past Saint Remy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It was not too far from Fatales.
It was right there, which is part of the problem.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious. How does the experience of having to change locations, running this kind of like sort of DIY venue, how's that add to your perspective on what the city could or should do for a policy?
I mean, the main thing that I've learned is that the people who want to do things will get them done. And it's not about whether or not somebody says no. It's about whether or not you can find the loopholes and find new, interesting ways to get things done. If you look at what we were doing, and obviously, you should be able to, it's not the ideas that you got to take to City Hall, but it's the way that you go about doing things that you got to take them. So like for us at 1180 Saint Antoine, it was a DIY illegal venue, but we did everything we could to make it as legal as possible to stay out of trouble. We had a smoking room across the main room so that people weren't milling around outside making noise, causing problems. We made sure that the doors were turned around so they opened properly, so there was an emergency, people would safely be able to get out. We didn't have a liquor permit, but we had registered as a not-for-profit so that we could receive not marriage certificates, but like the same liquor permits that you would get for a marriage. Right. So, the cops would show up, they would see that our liquor permit was there and it was valid, and they would leave us alone. It's a matter of like, okay, don't accept no as an answer, find the ways around it. And then when we moved to Saint Henry, we ran into the same issues. It was illegal in the Southwest to put a bar on the 2nd floor of any building. So what we do, we took our existent not-for-profit status that we used to get the liquor permits before in the DIY space to change it over to a social club. So Turbo House in St. Henry was a social club.
Wow.
So social
I went to a
clubs,
social club.
that's it. And social clubs are allowed to get liquor permits. It was bars that were not allowed to get liquor permits, but social clubs were allowed to do it. And then we ran into the issue that we were too close to a school. But instead of just saying, we don't care, like, okay, no, they said no, we looked deeper into it. And the door that we were closest to was the adult school, and the elementary school on the other side, the door was far enough that it was okay for us. The idea is always to be finding new and innovative ways, and not even just innovative, just find the way to do it. If Ottawa's not going to give you the money, if Quebec City's not going to give you the money, we're going to make it work. So when I think about expropriating these buildings, when I think about these new taxes levied on people who are leaving their spaces vacant, like these are the kind of things that you got to come up with. These are the kind of things that people who are working in not-for-profits, people who are working in grassroots organizations already know. They know that if you look at FRAPCU, which is the biggest tenants' rights association in the city, the one in Ville-Marie, they got $25,000 from the city of Montreal to operate last year. You know what that fucking pays for? Fucking nothing.
Right.
It pays for one part-time employee paid poorly.
Yeah.
And then the arrondissement had given them $50,000, but they cut that. So they went from $75,000 back to $25,000, and most of their money is coming from private funding like Centraide and things like this. So again, these people, they know what they have to do. They know they have to hustle. They know they've got to figure these things out without depending exclusively on fucking what the government can do for them. And that's the kind of ideas that you have to bring into City Hall. They said no in Ottawa. They said no in Quebec. Okay, what's the fucking loophole? What's the workaround? How can we make this go?
Are you going to fight for it? Do you see, it's interesting because you talk about this real, profound respect for these kind of not-for-profits, these kind of grassroots organizations that are kind of doing this very hard work without the resources. Do you see, a little bit of, the kind of, grinding you had to do at Turbo House in these organizations?
For sure. And I'm running a venue. I'm running what I like to consider a community space. And I don't want to equate the two. I don't want to say that the work is the same because I can clearly see, what they're doing. But the idea of creating community, the idea of bringing people together, the idea of, in a very divisive kind of city that we may live in, bringing people together in these what I would think is a third space is very important. So when I look at them and I think about it's about always finding the ways that we're similar, right? So I just had a conversation with the Residents Association of Chinatown, and again, I respect watching people who are civic minded without having to be so, without being forced to do so, without being paid to do so, and it's just a difficult job. My heart goes out to them. I think the world of these people. They get nothing but the utmost respect from me. And when we're talking, it's about finding the commonalities. So in Chinatown, what they have a really big issue is that a lot of these buildings are heritage buildings, and it's a very difficult and expensive and time consuming to be able to get all your ducks in a row to be able to make sure that you're doing things properly. And for them, it's the municipal government and the provincial government that's fucking giving them a hard time. So for me, as a venue owner, it's the same thing. I'm in a heritage building, and I have to deal with the city and the red tape and all that bullshit. So I can be like, hey, you know what I'd like to see for you? If the provincial government has already said that you pass all their tests and you've done everything that they need to do to be able to get your buildings up and running and in shape and ready to sort of be used by the community again, then how about we fucking cut this goddamn red tape in the fucking city so that you're not wasting more time, more money, more energy, and burning people out to just do what the province has already asked you to do. Again, it's always finding these things that we all kind of go through to be like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. There was another, again, with the same organization, they're talking about boarding rooms. And for them, it's very difficult to get funding because technically the building that they're talking about is not technically zoned for boarding houses, but their activities are those of a rooming house. So it's the same thing with Turbo House. Turbo House is not a venue. Turbo House is a bar, but our activities are those of a venue. But we can't receive the funding that the city is putting out because we're not technically a venue. So, so I see that commonality. It was yes, what I'd like to do is what I'd like to have for venues is that it has to be based on your activities and not some arbitrary fucking designation given to the city by God knows how long ago.
Right. That puts you in like a very arbitrary box.
That's it.
Yeah.
This is the work that you're doing. Let's find you the fucking money for the work that you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we should probably just start talking about nightlife policy. I mean, we're in the middle of it now. So something I see spoken about, right? I mean, so this is kind of like clearly like a big issue over the last like year. You've had these venues shut down. Oh, no, of course not over the last year, but over the last like 10 years in Montreal, right? You have these constant shutdowns, Divan Orange, La Tulipe. You yourself has received noise complaints at Turbo House, and I think previously on the show you talked about doing everything you could to put in like the kind of like noise isolating material, renting the room out upstairs for yourself to kind of diminish things. But then there's the issue of like what used to be a parking lot neighborhood now turns into a sort of like a row of like condos. Before in the past you talked about agent of change rules. Can you touch upon that again?
I mean, most people think that's going to be the thing that does the most to help. Basically, whatever person is coming into the neighborhood and enacting change on the neighborhood are responsible for the change that they create.
Right.
So if I, as a venue, go into St. Henry in a very residential area and fuck everything up for everybody around me, I'm the one who's responsible for that change. Same thing, if a condo gets built next to, the Ritz, then it's up to those people in the condo to make sure that the change that they're enacting in the neighborhood doesn't affect the ecosystem. That's all well and good, but under the current administration's model, it's still up to the arriving officer to make the call as to whether or not something's a nuisance. Even if the rules are all set in stone, it's very arbitrary. Whatever he decides is what's going to happen. So for us, a big thing is just to get the police and get the morality police out of this equation completely, going directly to mediation and finding ways so that the people who are living around venues and the venues are both being heard and are made to understand each other's point, and then finding a way forward amicably so that the sort of ecosystem, as it was, is maintained.
When the condos come in, is it just sort of isolated? Do they even talk to any of the businesses around
No,
them?
of course, and there should be. I mean, what really is frustrating about all of this is because as a bar owner and as a venue, the amount of hoops you have to jump before you even get your liquor permit are quite high. So like I have to make sure that the zoning is right of where I'm putting my place in. I have to make sure that when the SPVM and the morality police interview me, I can clearly state where all the money I'm getting is coming from. I have to be able to, the entire space has to be built before I can even sniff a liquor permit. So I have to spend all that money before I'm even guaranteed a space. And then my plan for putting in a bar or venue goes in the newspaper for 30 days. And anybody who wants to say that I shouldn't have one absolutely has the right to speak to either the SPVM or the Régie d'Alcool. So after we jump through all these hoops and then eventually get our permit and are allowed to operate, then people are still able to make complaints, even though in the newspaper, if you wanted to make a complaint and not have the space in your fucking area already, you could have made that complaint.
Wow.
I've spoken to the city. I've spoken to the province. I've lined everything up so that it's good. And now you're going to tell me I'm the fucking problem? It's crazy. But when a condo goes up or when a new development goes up or they're going to destroy Van Horn Bridge, there's one night of consultations. And if you fucking miss it, that's it. That's all. And we're going to change the entire way the city looks forever.
It's not quite equal, the consultations given.
And it's sort of like, again, I say it all the time, it lacks respect for what it does culturally, what it does for the community, and what it does, economically for, at the end of the day, live music alone is bigger than Fisheries Canada. It's almost as big as the automotive industry. And we're going to talk about it as if it's not like a driving force in the Montreal economy. Most people, when they fucking are writing their little sondage as to why they come here, they're talking about nightlife. And we're generating these income. We're bringing these tourists in. Everybody benefits from it. We employ just in the sector alone 33,000 people, and that's not even the people who are adjacent to it. Cab drivers, people who work at late night booth stands, and everything else. Like, you're looking at something that is so incredibly important and is treated as if it's a nuisance. Again, we have to stop we have to watch how we talk about it. Calling it noise complaints, gives people the sort of ammunition to go after it. It's the sound of the city is what it is. The same reason, for the same way that I can't call the police on an 8-year-old going to school in front of my fucking house. You know what I mean? I can't call the police on CN if there's train tracks next to my house. I can't call the police against fucking the airport because there was an airplane.
Right.
You've all made choices. This is where we are, and you have to live with those choices. Even if you look at the goddamn fucking website of, where you can make your noise complaints, and this was brought up to me by people who two functionaries in City Hall whose job is to take care of this. They're like, dude, if you look at Toronto, they talk about, at the beginning of, at the top of the website, noise complaints, and then everybody, don't quote me, but more or less it says everybody should be able to deal with a certain amount of noise in proximity to another person. And then it gives you all the information. And then in Montreal, it just says noise complaints, and it fucking tells you how to do them.
Wow. There's no breaks on it.
There's no breaks on it. It's like, fuck these people. And again, you got to think about like the fact that there are only so many venues in this city.
Right.
So the amount of complaints coming from the exact same people over and over and over again is pretty minuscule compared to the actual population. And every time we talk about this, we give credence to the fact that it's actually a bigger issue than it actually is. I mean, there are certain things that we have to look at doing, like, turning a blind eye on some of these complaints.
Right.
Like the same way if somebody was like, hey, there's construction in my house and it's 2 p.m. Like, fucking kidding. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like they're being loud at the bar downstairs. Yeah, no shit. Like,
that's because they're drinking.
that's what it happens. And in the same way, like when you're building construction, when you're building a building, when you're building anything in the city, it's noisy. So the same thing when you're building community. Within these spaces, it's going to be noisy, and everybody has to deal with a certain amount of volume and a certain amount of sound that just exists from doing these things.
No, totally. I think it's really interesting what you brought up about live music being bigger than Fisheries Canada. I guess it's that angle that people kind of forget about, the economic angle, right? Because I feel like the angle that's usually, at least I have access to, that I see people talk about, is just the social kind of cultural prestige of Montreal and why it's such a great music city. And people actually forget that it's such a huge revenue generator. I kind of want to talk about this other kind of angle to nightlife policy, right? So I think when anything is done with any kind of government, right, and they want to give out money or they want to give help, sort of like venues and stuff like that, there is sort of like a very official process, right, where they want to see how you make your money and stuff like that. I'm kind of curious, like if let's say you're the night mayor of
You can wear a cowl.
Yeah. So Transition Montreal has this policy for assigning a night mayor of Montreal who's sort of in charge of like nightlife and social stuff happening in the city. Ottawa already has one. Let's say you become the night mayor. Is there a policy angle to helping DIY venues thrive, the ones that might not be able to go through the official routes?
In terms of DIY, do you mean sort of like no liquor permit, no?
I mean like the real like underground spots.
So like Fatale, essentially.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Just bleep that out.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, again, you have to look at the people you have to look at the activities of these spaces and not just their designation. It's super important that if you see that somebody is doing the work and is generating this kind of like, community building and culture building, then we have to find ways to be able to support them and find ways to make it so that you bring some of this out of the dark into the light kind of thing. Because one, as fun as these spaces are, there has to be, if the city's going to get involved, there has to be a certain level of safety for the people who are there and the buildings that they're operating in. Yeah. So being able to get some of these people the training that they would need to go through this absolute hellhole of bureaucracy, both at the provincial and the municipal level, to help them, get access to these spaces, but also in terms of financing some of these people. And it doesn't have to come from direct financing. It can also come from ways of cutting the costs of commercial rents. So, and again, you always have to be creative with these things because that's sort of out of our jurisdiction. Like we don't get to decide what commercial rents are.
Right.
But we certainly can do things like they do in the Plateau where 2 bars can't be within, I can't remember the exact amount, anywhere between 50 and 25 meters of each other. So that, limits the amount of bars that are in that neighborhood. So for me, if you can do that for bars, then you could do that for large chain restaurants.
Right.
It stops some of the speculation in the city where landlords are holding on to spaces, waiting for the next McDonald's, waiting for the next Burger King, waiting for the next Lululemon to get a 20-year lease that is worth considerably more than giving it to some guy from Fatal who wants to open his own venue.
These giant multinationals are the only ones who could afford that kind of.
That's it. But you have to make it so that you can't just wait for them. Again, leaving these places vacant, and I'm going to come back to it a bunch, but leaving these places vacant and abandoned has a ripple effect on every aspect of your day-to-day life. And it's important that we take a hard stance on not allowing people to completely disregard their civic responsibility and their civic duty.
No, totally. Why Transition Montreal?
I mean, honestly, they're the ones. No, I mean, I wouldn't have done it with anybody else, honestly. Like, the main thing is they're not a whipped party, which is very interesting to me. I can vote however I want to vote. So if the people of my district think that I should vote a certain way, and like I see the things that are going on and I have to be able to support the people who are there, I can vote against my party without getting tossed out, without having to go independent. So that's a big one. It also aligns already with a lot of my political views in terms of like defunding the police, finding alternative ways of supporting the community, taxing these unused and abandoned buildings. A lot of that stuff comes hand in hand. And when Craig reached out to me to get my opinion on nightlife, we seem to come to an agreement as to what is the most important aspects of it. And for us is always getting police out of the process, getting punitive measures out of the process and going to mediation or whatever else that we can to be able to solve the issue without shutting these places down.
Incredible. Let's talk about your tweets. They're going to be flashing across the screen right now. We have here a smattering of tweets by Sergio. He is not talking like a politician, even though he is currently running the B1. You know what? It's like it always gets my attention. Like, I read these tweets. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, he went there, because it was sort of the thing where, like, I feel like even in our last episode, there's a couple of F-bombs dropped. I think your personality was already sort of there, but like. I guess that was a question for me. I'm like, oh, Sergio's running. I was like, oh, that's great. That makes so much sense, I want to know, like, what's your like thoughts? Were you ever like considering, kind of like dialing it back in terms of tone when you started running, or what are your thoughts around that?
No, I mean, a lot of this has a little bit of performance to it. A lot of this is kind of. You're in a situation where you want people to engage with it. You want people to engage with the things that you're talking about, and you want people to engage with just politics in general. And sometimes it takes a bit of a nudge in one way or another to get people to really notice what you're talking about. And I can be very polite, and I can be very, and still have the same spirit of what I would like to talk about, but it just won't come across. Like if I'm talking about, fucking my landlord's wife, people are going to see that.
There's the tweet.
That's very funny. But the spirit of the tweet and the spirit of what I'm talking about stays there because, like, yeah, of course, I can't be expected to pay my landlord's mortgage. I can't be expected to pay their taxes. And now, if this goes through, pay 5% of their renovations. It becomes too much. You're putting too much on these people. You're too dependent on somebody. You're a fucking leech. At the end of the day, you're not creating anything. And during a time where we're talking about housing crisis and preventative measures from keeping people from being on the streets, adding new levies and fines and payment systems to people who are living in the apartments doesn't help. The cheapest and most effective way to help people on the streets is to not have them on the streets in the first place.
Right, of course.
So like that's the thing that we got to, always talk about. And there's some that are more inflammatory just for the sake of being inflammatory. But I always want to be talking about the things that I'm saying and the ideas that I have in an honest way. I want to talk about them. I want to talk the spirit of what I'm trying to get to. And I'm not really interested in debating the words that I use because I'm not interested in that conversation. That I've got you, you stupid fuck. Now we're talking about it, and you fucking got, you got bamboozled by the F word. You got bamboozled by the fact that I said, we should kill politicians. I got you. But now you got to talk to me about affordability, you stupid idiot.
Right.
And that's what I'm looking to do. That's always the main point. The idea is to talk about things that everybody has in common. Mm-hmm. If you look at these tweets and if you look at the things that I'm talking about, you'll never see me saying right or left. Mm-hmm. You'll never see me blaming one way or another. You're going to see me talk about the problems that we're having and the people who are in charge who perpetuate these problems. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's always important, again, to really talk about the spirit of what I'm saying and have an honest conversation and not be too fucking worked up by the fact that, I got you with my with my charm.
Yeah, I'm sure Craig Sauvé must have known what he was getting into when he asked me again.
I mean, I told him, I was like, brother, I'm not scrubbing these tweets. I'm not doing whatever. I'm not going to go back and pretend that I didn't say these things that, everybody kind of looks good. And he's like, I mean, if that's what it is, that's what it is. Ultimately, it's going to hurt your campaign. I'm like, yes, I know it's going to hurt my campaign. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be disingenuous and I don't want to lie about the things that I think about and the person that I am. If you're going to be electing me, I want you to see me with all my fucking warts and all my fucking it's all there. It's all there for you to see. And if you can again look past some of the language, and by listening just to this podcast, you can see I'm not a crazy person. I'm not a crazy person. Listen, I'm not crazy.
Not the head tattoo's not crazy.
But, I think the points that I raise are valid, and there are many people who share those concerns. And if I can start that conversation, and I know it sounds like a fucking, wishy-washy kind of bullshit. I'm just starting the conversation as if I'm some sort of fucking grifter. But I'm not trying to take anything from anybody. I'm not trying to be in a situation that at the end of the day, people are worse off because of the things that I'd like. What I'm talking about, I think, for better or worse, are, again, things that we're all thinking, we all want solved, and I'm sick of talking about, this culture war bullshit. I don't give a fuck if you think something is woke. Are you insane? You're going to go to Ottawa and you're going to talk about things being woke? Are you stupid?
Right, yeah.
This is not what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the fact that, we're still selling arms to fucking Israel. We want to talk about the fact that, everything is unaffordable. The country is basically run by fucking 2 grocery stores and a bunch of banks. Can we all talk about this? Because I think we all agree that these are our problems, but everybody is constantly being divided against these, along these weird fucking lines that nobody really cares about. So let's, again, talk about it. Cut the bullshit, use language to fucking shake people out of their apathy and be like, hey, this is what's happening.
How have your followers, supporters, loved ones reacted to this municipal run?
I mean, people seem genuinely interested in me being able to do this job. I'm interested in doing this job, and I'm happy to sort of be kind of a mouthpiece for what a lot of people are genuinely concerned about, especially in the neighborhood that I live in. I mean, if you look at the area specifically, like Saint-Jacques, right? It is, like we had mentioned before, the village, Chinatown, Old Port, and Quartier Spectacle. And these places are, you look at them and they're like, oh, these are very different from each other, but also very different from the city. And what they all have in common is, one, Ville-Marie does not have its own mayor, which is crazy. The mayor of Montreal becomes the de facto mayor of Ville-Marie, which is, clearly adds to an issue of lack of representation. And then 2 of our city councilors are appointed by that mayor. So of the 6 representatives we're supposed to have, we only vote for 3. And people are like, that's crazy. That's only in Ville-Marie. It's only been since 2004. That has to change immediately. And then you look at them through the lens of the people who are using the neighborhood. A lot of people will see it as all these places are tourist areas. Chinatown is very unique in the way it looks and very unique in terms of the services that it can offer. But when it comes to people who actually live there, they're like, okay, I'm sick of fucking feeling like I'm not actually living in a neighborhood. I'm, the elders who are in the neighborhood, I'm sick of feeling weird and unsafe in my own neighborhood. And the same thing with the village. You talk about people who are like, it's very sort of like, oh, it's a party town. We could do whatever we want. No, dude. The village is more than just St. Catherine. You go up, that's where most of the people live in my district. Families, everybody who wants to be represented is there. But again, they're suffering from a very big lack of services. They're suffering from the idea, again, of vacant houses, again, of vacant, of abandoned buildings. And we have to get all this stuff under wraps to deal with sort of like long-term solutions of people who are living there, on the street and things like that. And you look at the old port, again, same shit. It's always the same shit. It's a freak show. It's the Disneyland of fucking Montreal. And the people who live there are like, I'm sick of this. I don't need another fucking gallery. I don't need another cafe. I don't need another thing that isn't an actual tangible service that I can use to help me in my day-to-day life. This is where I live. I don't live in an amusement park.
Right. So yeah, I guess the picture you're painting is that like you have this neighborhood in Montreal, this very incredibly central, like the downtown sort of neighborhoods that are sort of like almost in a blind spot, I guess, of representation, right? Because they don't get that, like their own borough mayor, and 2 of their city councils are appointed, and it's sort of like, to me, the picture is almost like you have this blind spot for like city administration, and the people who benefit from that are the multinationals, are the people who want to turn it into exactly what you say, right? An amusement park. What do you think about the big Ferris wheel? We're talking about
all that shit. Okay, if you're gonna talk to me about the giant cock ring on McGill Street, right in the heart, I love it. The fucking Ferris wheel, fucking love it. All that shit, let's fucking go. I want to see all of it. All these little freak show things that we do every now and again. It's fun. Learn to have a bit of fun with with the neighborhood that you live in, and it's fun for the people who are just there. It's a good thing to look at. I'm not going to rally against again, like the fucking cock ring or the Ferris wheel or whatever.
I can't believe you called it that.
But I'm happy that they're there. I'm happy like it brings people to these neighborhoods. Like for the most part, we talk a lot of shit. I love this city. I fucking love it. It's my favorite place in the world. I would not live anywhere else. And I get accused of a lot of shit. A lot of people don't like me. Like, I hate the French language. I hate there can be nothing further from the truth. Like, you cannot exist in the city of Montreal and get everything that you possibly want to get out of it without learning the French language, at least at a base level. Like, all the coolest shit that happens here happens in French.
Right.
And yes, it also happens in English and happens in several other languages and it happens in a bunch of different cultures. But to really get at the heart and the meat and the potatoes of this city, you need it. You need it. It's so fun. Like I was thinking about it today as people who are coming in, like newcomers, like from Ontario or BC, and not learning that thing robs you of something that's so fun. It reminds me of...
You're talking about not learning French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of being on a bike when I'm a kid, right? You start off and you're kind of wobbly, but then you eventually learn it. And then you eventually learn to trust yourself and you start going.
You learn some swears.
That's it. And you start going, you're going, and you're not even thinking about it. And you're just zooping. And before you know it, you're riding your fucking bike. Right. It's the same thing with speaking French. You're translating everything in your head and you're going, you're kind of slowly, you're very kind of hesitant to embarrass yourself or be in a situation that you may, again, feel embarrassed. But then the one word comes after another, and you see that you're thinking in French in your head, and everything starts shooting, and you're like, "Oh, I'm speaking this language," and off you go. It's so exhilarating. It's awesome. Everything about it is good. But when we talk about culture and community in this province, in this city, the language becomes central, and it should be. But don't tell me that I don't give a fuck about the culture of Quebec when I do the work every fucking day. I'm bringing in bands from fucking Alma, St. Louis, fucking Quebec City. They're coming to stay with me. They stay with me for free. They eat for fucking free. And then I put on the show to make sure they get paid and they go to the next place. I'm doing the work to support fucking Quebec culture. Just because for the most part, I'm a fucking Anglophone and I speak in English. You don't like that, doesn't mean I don't give a fuck.
It's something people accuse you of not caring
All
about.
the fucking
French.
time. I bleed blue and fucking white, you fucking assholes. Like, I'm here for the fucking culture. I'm here to make sure that we're doing what we're doing. And when you look at the province and you look at the fact that, like, oh, it's very important that you send a fucking email only in French, that'll fix the problem.
Right,
that'll fix the fucking, we're going to legislate culture. Meanwhile, you're letting La Tulipe fucking close down and die, 100-year-old fucking institution.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, why are no people speaking French? Why are less people? Because you haven't. You're destroying the places that people go to experience the culture,
Right.
to practice the culture, to come together to fucking love the culture. You fucking imbeciles.
Right.
I don't give a fuck that I got to speak French at fucking work. That doesn't fucking change anything for me. Don't fucking talk out of one side of your mouth and say something else directly out the other fucking side. If you care about what we're doing, if you care about culture in this fucking city, then fucking save it. If you care about culture, you care about the Quebec culture, then fucking do something. And sitting on your fucking hands and telling me, oh, fuck, again, there's graffiti on your wall and somebody said it was in fucking English, so I got to send an OQLF member. Are you fucking crazy? And again, even with the OQLF, they are very nice. And it's very easy to deal with them. They're there to help you navigate all this bullshit. But if they're inundated with these bullshit calls about like Pastigate and whatever else, dude, you cannot legislate culture. Show it. Show it every fucking day. Scream it from the mountaintops. Give everybody a fucking stage to show what you care about. But not like, come on, fuck. Anyway. Yeah, I fucking love the French language. Like, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
There you go, folks. No one. My next question was, do you love the French language? But that we have that answered now. Yeah, I see what you mean, right? Because you're talking about this sort of like, I guess right now we're talking about maybe the people like the haters and the commenters online, right, who really make a big fuss and who want to be more punitive about culture, right? Who want to be more, it's more about control. And you have these people who message you saying you're not doing enough for like Quebec culture or French culture, when in fact you've demonstrated that you are, with the bands that you put up, the bands that you who you make sure that they can continue their tours, they make some money, they have somewhere to stay, they have somewhere to eat. Where was I going with this? No, yeah. I think it's clear to these people who are like the haters on this kind of issue that you're kind of stepping up. Something I wanted to ask about though is this thing of tourists, right? Because we're talking about like, because sort of like when you think of like culture, you think of like these kinds of things, you think of people coming together to experience it, right? Whether it's like like painting, sculptures, music, perform other kinds of performance like comedy and whatnot. You kind of draw an audience for that. Montreal's kind of known for that. I'm kind of curious, what do you think? Do you think there's like a fine line between like how much reign you give tourists, how much you let tourists overtake a city, you know? Like, where do you think is the fine line for that kind of stuff?
I mean, one great point is not making your basic needs and infrastructure only for tourists. Mm-hmm. So for Transition Montréal, it's removing Airbnbs from the market completely. Okay. There are places that already exist. There are hotels everywhere. There are wonderful hotels here. And if you're on a budget, there are hostels, and there's other means for you to be able to do it. We have to, again, not just think about the tourists and think about making it easier for them through Airbnbs. Mm-hmm. We have to eliminate them completely and get those units back into the renters market. Mm-hmm. So like that kind of stuff where you're kind of cutting a lot of red tape to let them kind of do what they want becomes a bit of an issue. You look at F1. You look at, again, it's good. Brings people to the city. Everybody on fucking Bishop and Crescent are very happy that it happens. But, you know, you talk about some of the other stuff that happens, you know, the abuse of sex workers, you know, just the general detachment in the way in which they treat the city becomes, you know, a bit much. So everything has its ups and downs, but we really have to hone in on the fact of like, what are our morals and what it is that we actually care about, and are we willing to sell those all out to make sure that some guy can fucking, you know, drive his Ferrari off a jump? I don't know what they do there. It could be anything.
Yeah. I think they do that on Crescent. Yeah. That's a fair answer. I mean, I guess it sort of ties back into what you're saying before, right? About having this kind of real estate guy who's sort of running. You have Ensemble Montréal who's talking about like kind of lifting the ban on Airbnbs. Do you see that as a sort of conflict of interest as well?
100%. 100%. If you are directly involved in making the rules that could benefit you, your kids, and your future, then we got to step away. I'm not supposed. Sorry, boss, I'm not going to bring it up. But we're not supposed to talk poorly about any of the other parties. But if you look at some of these other people, you're going to be in a situation where you see a lot of real estate agents, you see a lot of property owners with multiple properties. There is nothing wrong with owning property in this city. It should be encouraged for you to be able to own your own house and your own little slice of the city. Absolutely, it's fantastic. It's part of why we're here. Some people may want to rent their whole lives, and that's perfectly valid. It gives you a lot of freedom, but it can't be a situation where some guy owns 100 doors,
right.
Some guy owns 200 doors, and then the rules that are being passed in Quebec City again and again, like eliminating the ability to lease transfer, by having the TAL put your complaints on a registry that anybody can look up forever. It's not tabling motions that would allow landlords to charge an extra 5% for their costs. Like, if these are the people who are in charge, these are the rules that you're going to get. And if you want people who are going to be more, lenient towards renters and the everyday needs that we need, then maybe, call me crazy, but get more people who are renting in these positions of power, so that we can kind of, pull the conversation in another way that would be more effective for everybody. You look at Montreal, 50%, 5% of the people are renters. You look at my district specifically, it's almost 75%. And okay, so then why am I talking about property owners as if they're the most important contingent of my district?
Right.
There's a lot of renters here, and they have to be protected, and we have to be able to invest in them and in whatever it is, and the grassroots organizations that help them.
Wonderful. Let's the big topic of this elections is sort of bike lanes. We're talking about the people in charge. We're talking about. I have to. We gotta get the. We gotta get the name. There's a gun to my head. We gotta talk about the bike lanes. It's kind of like I'm kind of. I ask it not because to me it's the most essential issue, but sometimes I'm curious how I've spoke to Logan Littlefield, who's running for a projet out in Verdun, about bike lanes and stuff, and the feeling is almost like everyone is sort of tired about talking about it, right? Because there are let's say these bigger issues. I think that's the opinion of the show. People are going to talk about bike lanes, but there are bigger issues the weapons we saw to Israel, homeless people in the street, people dying in the cold, and yet bike lanes seems to be the sort of central conversation. I do blame the car lobby, the dealerships who are invested in making sure that this continues to be a topic. But Sergio, tell me, what is your take on bike lanes?
Bike lanes are good, and they're a fundamental way to view what the city can do with the resources that they're given, right? So somebody like Valérie Plante sees there's too many cars, what can we do? The province isn't giving us money, the fucking country's not giving us money. What can we do right away? Well, within my power, and what I can do literally immediately is start to put in these bike lanes so that people can use them to help fight some of this congestion. That's somebody being proactive about the things that are needed in the city within the powers that they have, which I think is the way to do things. So I'm out here fucking good job, Val. Good. I mean, you did it. But at the same time, it becomes the same thing with nightlife policy and nightlife issues where this pretty minor inconvenience to everybody becomes blown out of proportion. You have people in fucking Candiac and Laval and fucking Lachute and fucking everywhere being like, Montreal's impossible to drive in because there's bike lanes and I can't fucking park. Dude, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I literally don't give a shit. I drive in the city all the fucking time. It sucks so fucking bad. I hate it. I don't want to do it. Every day I don't want to do it. But that doesn't mean I think there should be less bike lanes. Doesn't mean there should be less access to public transport. Doesn't mean there should be less access to very, good and affordable alternate options for getting around the city. People complain about, because it's always these two fucking things that are in complete contrast to each other, right? People complain that they can't drive their car enough in the fucking city. And then they complain that there's too much construction in the city. Okay, we're tearing up the fucking streets because there's fucking too many cars in the goddamn city.
Yeah.
You want to fix both these fucking problems? Less cars.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's right there. It's right fucking there. If there's less cars, there's less congestion, and there's less construction because there's less wear and tear on the infrastructure that we have. What else do you want me to fucking tell you?
There you go.
Stop driving your fucking car, or at least whenever you can. You want to the city is beautiful, especially this time of year. Take a walk on the mountain. You got to do your groceries, just... If we're living in these 15-minute neighborhoods that a lot of us are in the downtown core, I'm not driving my fucking car to the grocery store. I'm getting what I need, and I'm taking it home. And yes, that might not be the option for you if you live in the suburbs of fucking, St. Bruno, and you might have to drive there. I mean, then that's a choice that you've made. You live in St. Bruno. You have the resources to be there. But, don't fucking tell me that the city needs to be more... fucking open to you to be able to do whatever you want with your private property on our streets. Yes, driving in the city sucks. I admit it, and I know it, and I hate it, and I don't want to do it, but I'm forced to. On one day a week, every Wednesday, I got to do my fucking errands for the bar and the cafe. So once a week, I fucking do it. It sucks. It sucks. I'd rather not be doing it, but I do not have an option. Whenever given the option, I don't fucking do it. And the same, it's just we gotta be like, come on, guys, come on. We can't get bogged down on this. We can't get bogged down. Like, we all see it. Too many cars, too much construction, too much wear and tear. See that? Okay, good. Less cars. Perfect. Done.
There you go.
Issue. Can we get these people off the streets? Can we find some money to make sure that these safe injection sites have enough money to do the jobs that they actually have to do? Can we make sure that we're not being overrun with abandoned buildings and empty storefronts? Can we make sure that, the cops aren't fucking executing 15-year-olds? Can we find other ways to be able to engage with the community in terms of their safety? Let's do that. Yeah, I don't want to talk about, some guy in fucking all spandex zooming across the street. My problem, you want me to fix fucking bikes? Treat them like they're fucking cars. Give them a ticket, put the fucking demerit points on their goddamn card, boom, done, take their bike away, and then they could get back. That's it. You want to be an asshole and fucking run a red light and run a fucking stop sign? You're going to get a ticket. It's going to be $700. Sucks. It sucks. So fucking stop at the red light and don't fucking hit anybody. Whew, I can't.
There you go.
Like, bike paths? Come on.
I feel like those kind of demerit stuff could really hit with all the anti-bike people. It's
dude, everybody would be stoked. All right, wear your fucking helmet, put some reflectors on, there'll be some. I mean, a lot of people don't have a fucking car or a license, but demerit points on riding your bike. Boom. Let's fucking get you. It's dangerous. We all gotta play together, gang. There's the rules of the road. You don't just get to do whatever you want and blow red lights and then get Yes, obviously. Yes, obviously. It's more dangerous in a car than a bike. Yes. Please try to engage with the spirit of what I'm saying. We all got to pull our weight to make sure that we're okay. Yes, it'll be worse if you get hit by a car than you get hit by a bike. Yes, I understand that. Please, fucking please. But again,
help him here.
Fucking help
him.
me.
Help him out.
Help me help you. Okay, I understand that. But all I'm saying, literally all I'm saying, is everybody's got to be a little more conscious when they're on their bikes, and that'll make a lot of people happy. We can avoid a lot of these conversations. I think I'm still getting in trouble.
It's almost like the thing where there's so much to get in trouble for. You might be off scot-free. You ever watch that episode of The Simpsons where they test Mr. Burns for illnesses? Yeah. And they show they're like, look, they open the door and it's like all the diseases you have are they're struggling to get through the door, so you're kind of fine. That's sort of the tactic
invincible. Yeah, no, fuck. I feel like that's the case, and again, I can't. You know what? I shouldn't even say. Forget it.
Okay. There we go. Well, let me move on to the next question. We're kind of approaching the hour mark, but let's say November 2nd, election day comes, you find out you are voted in First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
Secondly, what is going to be your main priority?
My main priority will be specifically the district that I'm in. I don't have any other aspirations to be mayor. I don't want to be in any other councils. I want to make sure that the people who are living in my neighborhood and the people that I represent are listened to and taken care of. It's not up to me to go into the village or go into Chinatown or go into the old port and pretend like I have every single answer. My job is to go in there and continue what I'm already doing, is meet with these community organizations, meet with these residents associations, and get the things that they need done. Let's try to not find new and interesting solutions to our monetary issues. Let's try to be creative with our day-to-day lives and how we fucking figure out how we're going to take care of the people who are most vulnerable. Creating that conversation between people who are adjacent to the problems and the people who are actually physically under duress from these problems. I'd be remiss if we don't touch on this specifically, but when we talk about some of the emergency services that we have, like emergency shelters, like safe injection sites, things like this, where a lot of people begin to dehumanize the people who have to use these services. They see them as less than human. The idea is to always push them out, or at very least, what you'll hear a lot is like, okay, but why did you put it here? Why is this here?
Why? I mean, the famous cases like out in the St. Henry, it's like, why does it have to be so close to a school, right?
The zoning and the general opportunity to be able to open any of these spaces is extremely difficult. And when a place gets somewhere, it's important that we save it, because there's no such thing as closing a as moving a safe injection site. You just move it. And I'll speak to, just myself, the amount of hurdles that you have to jump through, just like I had mentioned today, just to be able to get a liquor permit and a venue in a neighborhood. Imagine what the hurdles are for a safe injection site. Right. Imagine what the hurdles are for an emergency shelter. We have to be able to look at them as an integral part of the community, as an integral weapon against the issues that we find ourselves in. And again, and I know it doesn't sound good for people who are, I live there. There's somebody who lives under my stairs. I understand it, that you don't feel safe all the time. You don't feel good all the time. But your proximity to the problem does not mean that you're suffering from the problem. Right. The only way to take care of these issues is by taking care of them directly, taking care of making sure people get long-term stable housing, making sure people have the the resources and the tools to not only stop doing drugs, but staying off drugs, and then being able to correct the other things that are in their life. You can't ask somebody who's in crisis to then all of a sudden be like, okay, you're going to move into this house and everything's going to be okay. Okay, you're just going to get a job and everything's going to be okay. We have to deal with the fundamental issues. And again, when you talk about it, a lot of it is prevention, making sure people don't get thrown out in the first place, making sure that people are taken care of at the point that the problem starts to become a problem and not after it already has been. And for me, that's priority number one.
Incredible. Well, before I let you go, I've heard that regarding your tweets, a certain Rebel News has reached out. What do they want?
They want to ask me about my tweets. But ultimately, again, I really only want to engage with people who want to talk to me, who believe or at least will interpret them through the spirit in which I'm putting them out there. If you're going to look at all the things that I'm saying constantly as an actual 100% sort of truth, and you're going to take it extremely literally, yes, it says that I should, today I'm thinking about stealing a gun from a cop. Yes. But that, I think, is a very dark joke about self-harm. It's not about fucking actually stealing a gun from a cop. I want to talk about, and so when we say things like that, then we can engage about the topic of self-harm and, me trying to hurt myself, trying to connect with people in these ways, like, hey, if this person's talking about hurting themselves or in any way, it means that anybody can feel the same. We can fucking have that conversation. Again, it's never about punching down. It's never about being divisive. If you look at the way I talk about anything, my main concern is creating community and like bridging these divides with people. And like, you don't have to do it with everybody. Okay, fucking, little junior Hitler. I'm not fucking interested in having any sort of conversation with that. But, talking to my family, talking to people who are close to me, making sure that my door stays open for people who may need it.
Right.
For people to know that even though I disagree with you on things fundamentally, and we're going to have very hard conversations about it, I'm always here for you to come back when you want to have that hard conversation and you feel like yourself turning and you feel like maybe you made a mistake. And I don't want you to come to me feeling like, oh, I can't say anything to you because you're going to fucking make me feel bad about it. You're going to throw it in my face. You're going to make me feel like shit. No, you're coming here. We're moving you a little further towards a way that we're all here. We're all trying to find ways to make things better for each other. Come on, brother. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
As long as it's not little junior Hitler.
Little junior Hitler. You're never gonna save him. Okay, you can't fucking do it. Okay, and I also don't have the patience for it. I don't have the patience for people who are going to have dishonest conversations with me, who are going to look at the things that I say and they're going to look at them through a lens in which that I'm not presenting them, and they're going to be.
Approaching me in a bad faith kind of way.
Absolutely bad faith arguments. Absolutely looking at me as if I'm some sort of monster because I'm bringing up things that people care about. Affordability, the ability to live your life with dignity, the ability to just be able to put away for yourself so that you could be happy in whatever life that you choose to live. Like that. Fuck. I mean, what else do we want? What else do we fucking want? Yes, of course. Everybody wants to be able to be okay. So can we do that? I feel like we can.
Let's end it there, folks. Sergio Da Silva running for Transition Montreal in Saint-Jacques, the district in Ville-Marie. Thank you again for coming on, Sergio, and sharing your takes on the French language, Little Junior Hitler, nightlife policy, of course, and just your experience in general running for municipal politics.
Thanks for having me here. I'm always willing to hear myself talk.
Of course. Well, best of luck on the rest of the campaign. You can go vote this coming weekend. There's advanced voting as well as.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like someone forgot. There's advanced voting coming up. There is also going to be voting at schools, at universities, and of course the main day, E-Day, November 2nd. Tune in for more coverage from us.
If you live in Saint-Jacques, vote for me.
There you go. Thank you, everyone. Take care.